So I have to make these videos because time is of the essence. Basically what I'm trying to say, and this is very complex. These are very complex legal terms that I have to try to break down into a linear format so that lay persons can understand it. That term, medical negligence or any type of negligence, isn't negligence or abuse or discrimination, isn't really discrimination unless it does permanent harm. That sort of concept applies even in, like, if you file a if you go to trial, let's say somebody, you're at work and somebody calls you the N-word as a person of color, or says calls you, some sort of slur. And you say, don't do that again. And they don't. And you school them and you say, that ain't cool, I'll file a charge. And they stop. Guess what? You can't run to the EEOC. They will not file a charge because you remedied the situation. If it goes on and on and on, and then they fire you and you lose your job and they blacklist you, now they've done permanent harm through their discrimination or negligence or whatever type, however the abuse manifests. So, like I said, there was some cancer specialist that was following me around town. This was my second year here. I don't believe he was one of Paul Dragon's idiots. I got the distinct impression he worked for. He was very dignified. He was some sort of expert in some cancer field, and he kept saying, oh, you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine, and trivializing and minimalizing my situation. And I got the distinct impression he was trying to cover somebody's ass, but I wasn't quite sure who. And I posted it on Facebook, which is probably why Bobby's and Trump's new partner in crime, Zuckerberg, took it down. Because it may have very well worked for Bobby Jr. and or Hochul's independent investigation. Don't know if Governor Hochul or her husband's involved in this or not. Bobby Jr. is the new Obama. He's up there saying all these chemicals are permanently harming kids and killing kids. He knows that those chemicals ain't no more permanently harming people or killing people than the bullet killed Abraham Lincoln or cancer's killing me. Medical malpractice killed Abraham Lincoln, and medical malpractice that is doing deliberate and permanent harm is killing me. Let's say my cancer that I have now, when it was at stage 1, was caused by me drinking Mountain Dew or some chemical that was in my coffee beans. Guess what? Had the doctors done their motherfucking job, it would have been cured at stage 1. No, they bilked it and bilked it and bilked it, then deliberately accelerated it. Now Bobby's Jr. is pretending to investigate the cause of my cancer when he knows goddamn well it's the doctors that turned it into a permanent did irreparable harm that is now actually actionable the same way the same kind of permanent harm that the EEOC would demand. And he's definitely exploiting the public sympathy of what happened to his relatives. And the Kennedys didn't give a fuck about no civil rights. The only reason why they started acting like they were tough on civil rights and sympathetic to Martin Luther King is because Russia and all of the European newspapers were showing pictures of what the Klan was doing to the freedom riders and the marchers, and all that was getting blown up in the press. Look at America. Look at what a mess it is. And that was all under Kennedy. He had to do something as a matter of national security. It was pandering. Bobby yelling about, oh, I'm saving the kids. I'm getting these chemicals out of their cereal. That ain't what's killing the kids. That's just an intermediate causation The real cause of any children or any other person's permanent injury from chemicals exposed by PG&E, DuPont in the rivers, or in your food, or whatever is medical malpractice. Another good example is Jimmy Dore. He was sore and had so many problems for so long because of his getting the as he likes to call it. You got the well, luckily a doctor came along and showed him that it didn't have to be a permanent injury that he could then sue for. Guess what? If that doctor cured his injury from getting the guess what? He would have got more money if he never got it taken care of. If he had been left like that and never got a doctor to treat that injury, he can get some money from it. But now, if he does have a lawsuit, it's only to get the shit off the market. He won't get much in the way of punitive damages. And if very little punitive damages, and that's what the lawyers like Bobby Jr. and all of his partners in crime, like Morgan and Morgan, that's how they make their money, based on the amount of punitive damages. They want dead bodies. They want maximum harm. They're working with the doctors to launder all this money, whether it's from healthcare insurance that's funded by the taxpayers, or whether it's medical malpractice insurance that's actually owned by the healthcare providers like Mizzou. They're self-insured. They're stealing their own fucking money, basically. So Bobby Jr. ain't worried about getting hit with fraud. He just doesn't want anybody to know that him and his family don't want anybody to know that they're profiting from the same fucking crimes that ultimately, now that I think about it, the killings may have had something to do with Israel and Israel alone, but that's probably about it. The Kennedys are they're rich. They own stock in Big Pharma, Big Hell, yada, yada, yada. Their stock portfolios. They don't want that gone. They don't want the trillions in fraud. That's just the healthcare fraud. That doesn't include all the money, when kids are poisoned in Flint or East Palestine, Ohio. Couldn't figure out why Aaron Brockovich wasn't returning my email. I said, Aaron, those people, the cancer from PG&E's waste dumping, that's intermediate causation. But your clients that you're crying over, they're not dying from cancer. They're dying from malpractice. Not a word. She's still up there, grandstanding about how I'm fighting for the heroes and begging everybody, you got to fight for yourself. There's no hero coming. She's right, they're not. Because even all the people that we're praising, hoping is going to get us out of this, they're all part of it. Her and Bobby Jr. both. Everybody looks back at Obama and goes, that fucking guy. He had us duped. Bobby's the new one. And Trump and Kamala, all that shit, all that bickering in the lawfare, that was all fucking stage theatrics. Who is Bobby married to? A fucking Hollywood actress. What's Donald Trump? A former Democrat who's a fucking Hollywood actor with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Cuomo got a fucking Emmy for his theatrics during COVID. Oh, but he wrote a book on Anthony Fauci, all to distance himself from his crimes with Anthony Fauci. Bernie, Mulvaney, Stanek, don't you fucker, they're setting you up. When you refuse me victim services here and I die, and then I file complaints and blast you for it, and you're really doing what they say do, guess who actually looks bad? Bernie and his whole progressive caucus. Oh, look, they killed a whistleblower, and then blamed it all on the Democrats and the oligarchs and whatever, and their own mayor refused her fucking cancer treatment and treated her like shit and told her to go home and die. When you're probably getting bad intel from Bobby Jr. saying, I had my doctors go and observe her, and they said she's fine. If you don't give her victim services and medical intervention, you're not going to get liable. Oh, but you are. They're lying to you. They're duping you. They're setting Bernie up. I'm sorry, Bernie, but Bobby's not your friend. I thought that all that stuff between you two were theatrics. And Elizabeth Warren, I thought all that was theatrics. And I'm thinking maybe Bernie is looking at this whole situation and going, something stinks here, something ain't right. Maybe Bernie really does know that Bobby Jr. ain't completely to be trusted, because under no circumstances, I don't give a fuck if Donald Trump offered Bernie labor secretary or whatever. He would never have anything to do with Donald Trump. Ever. Bobby and Donald Trump are setting you up, Bernie. They're setting you up, Miss Mulvaney Stanek. And I don't know you, Miss Emma. Mayor Emma, I don't know you. Maybe you're a fake progressive who's actually a part of this. Maybe everybody at Cousy is just as corrupt as maybe Essex PD and Cousy, and the sheriffs, both sheriffs are just as corrupt as BPD and Weinberger. But Miss Sarah George, you really better fucking go public with this, because if you don't, they're going to rope-a-dope you into killing me. You've already got 3 dead bodies from not getting me sequestered for whatever reason. I don't know if Governor Hochul knows she's getting bad intel. Is she part of it? Y'all are going to have to sort that out, but you better go public with my case. We better stage a protest and find some reason to get it in the news somehow, so the people of Vermont can know this shit stinks. We don't want they want to pin a bunch of dead bodies on you guys as progressives so they can call you hypocrites, just like I did. And I was right, the way you acted. And then in my defense, that's called what's called an autism meltdown. I was so overwhelmed with information coming in because of all of the pain from what I think was really a blood clot. I don't think it was a collapsed lung. It was a blood clot caused by the broken wrist that I had wrapped too tight many times. And laying down, I spent most of this past 2 months resting from either the collapsed lungs or the broken wrist. I couldn't do shit, and it was so fucking cold, and it made the cancer pain worse and everything worse. All that laying down on that one side and having that wrist wrapped, because I actually had a fever in my shoulder, and I could actually touch my right shoulder and see the swelling and I could feel the throb. It was bad. It was absolutely horrific. And I know blood clots are absolutely, from what I understand, they're really horrible, because I remember that little girl in McDonald's here out on South Burlington. She came in, my mommy died. We just been at the hospital all day. She needed somebody to talk to. And I said, she said, my mommy's in the hospital. She had real bad pain in her neck and shoulder. She had a blood clot. And that's probably, I didn't even remember that until now. And that's probably why my team dropped off Ansef injectable antibiotic, just in case it was the collapsed lung again for any infection.